Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is November the 21st, 2021, and we're going to take another look at the sevens in the Revelation. Um, the reason why is because if you recall, I'm on the wrong page here. If you recall when we discussed the fifth angel, the fifth trumpet, I mentioned that we might recognize this. I no longer believe that that's possible. I was thinking about it, and I don't believe it's possible. We'll take a look at it. I'll show you. Well, let's do a quick review. So we have the first four, 1 through 4, which is going to be in the past. Okay, that's going to be in the past. And then you get to the fifth, and it is the present. It's in process, and it leads, at the completion of the fifth, it leads you right into the sixth. The sixth and the seventh are intertwined. The sixth runs and it continues on into the seventh. They're intertwined together. They're connected in many different ways. And then the seventh contains the following group of sevens. Okay, so that's what we're working with. So the reason why I was thinking that the fifth isn't, that we can't recognize the fifth, is we really have one example, but let's go through them real quick. So we have the first four churches, but then when we get to the fifth church, Sister White, I don't recall Sister White actually mentioning the church of Sardis. She just mentions over quite a few times in her writings that they became the Church of Philadelphia. So I think I don't think it's fair to say that they knew anything about being in the Church of Sardis at the time that was going on, or even if that they were, because I only remember her saying that they were a part of the Church of Philadelphia, and then of course that led us into the Church of Laodicea, which we are today. Okay, so the churches, she doesn't speak of Sardis, so that excludes it, and that's our only real-time example. But we're going to take a look at the seals as well as the trumpets and vials. Okay, so in the seals, John is looking back at the first four seals, which have already happened in the past and are shown to him as an example of what's going to happen to us under the sixth seal. So, but when you get to the fifth seal, well, this is still happening in heaven. We don't know anything about this happening. As a matter of fact, there isn't really any indication that anything is happening on earth until you get to the sixth seal. We know nothing about what's going on in heaven. But we certainly know what's going on here because it's chaotic. So, no indication of the fifth item here being known in advance. So we have the sixth seal. Still more events under the sixth seal. And then we have the seventh seal, which contains the seven trumpets. So then we have the first four trumpets, which we know are warnings of things to come. And then we get to the fifth trumpet, and it's just we have to follow the previous patterns because that's all we have. So this has to be something that happens on an individual level, or at least it must start off that way. So it will start off, say, with sickness or something, and then it proceeds and it proceeds and it proceeds until it gets to the point where it kind of escalates nationwide suddenly, where we don't know what's going on until we've been led into the sixth trumpet. But that's just a theory, because if it was a nation, say if it was a war or something like that, it would immediately start ticking off boxes. Oh, well, this is it, and that's it, and no, it can't be something that's nationwide. It has to be something that happens on a more individual level. Even violence, because we see violence every single day. It may be that there's an uptick in violence, and we don't really notice it until it pivots somewhere in that 150 days, which leads us right into the sixth trumpet. So we have the sixth trumpet. I just can't see that we would know that this is going on. I can't see it. But we're going to look at the vials. So the sixth trumpet is going to contain the vials. The seventh trumpet is going to contain the vials. Incidentally, I didn't mention it, but remember, the sixth trumpet rolls into the seventh trumpet. So they share a lot of things. They're very intertwined with one another. So here we have the 7 vials. So we have the first 4 vials, and I have a picture. There's a picture of this in Revelation 19 as well. So we look at the 4th vial, and the angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which has power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. Okay, so that's the 4th one. And we also see a picture of that in Revelation 19. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God. Unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. But you see, it's the 4th plague. It's the 4th vial. I think it's called a plague in Revelation 16, but hold on. We're going back to 16. Yeah, it's called a plague. Okay, so then you get to the 5th. This is the one that we're not going to be recognizing. And the 5th angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongue for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. Now we know that the events from the previous example, that the events in under this vial directly are have a direct impact on the 6th vial. In some way, this causes this. So, then we'll read the 6th. And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. And, hold on a moment. Here we go. For there the spirits of, you don't need that, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. And he gathered them together into a place called, in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. I'm skipping that because we'll go over it when we get back to the seals, when we get back to the vials. I just want to do the comparison right now. And he gathered them together into a place called, in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. So then we go back to Revelation 19, and we'll read on. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together. I'm sorry, just a moment. Let's go back, because I didn't point out to you that this would have to happen being the 5th. Okay. So, On the 5th, I just wanted to point out quickly, again, there's sickness here. It's individual to where it might not set off bells and whistles automatically, given that the first 4 vials have already been poured out. This may not set off enough bells and whistles for the nationwide, for them to immediately recognize it. But then the 6th, of course, they see what's going on here, because now they know what's going on. They know the end is coming, and they're getting ready to go to war. They're all gathered up, getting ready to go to war, because they know Jesus is about to return. And that's what we see in Revelation 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Definitely they know what's going on by the 6th. Not quite so clear during the 5th. Yeah. So I have to change my point of view on that. I don't think we're going to know. I think it's going to be more of an individual thing. Probably sickness. It could be violence as well. Violence could easily be hidden in our society because of the distrust of the news, because they don't really report the truth very often. Plus, as we see so much violence on a regular basis. It could be, we looked at some of the signs of possession, which would have been, the mental health of a lot of people as well. That could be it. But I don't think we're going to see it anymore. I don't think we're going to see it. I do have another correction that I want to make for you guys. Do you remember when we calculated the 390 days in Noah? I didn't mark it, unfortunately. So remember, it was 383 days, and then I add the 7 days for leaving because there were 7 days going in. Well, I was looking at Sister White's writings, and here, where he sent out the raven and then the dove, there's actually a 7-day time period before he sent out this second dove. So it's still going to be 390 days. But he sends out the raven, he waits 7 days, and then we can look at it, but I forgot to pull it up. I forgot to look at it before I did the correction. So let's see what we see here. Here we go. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made, and he sent forth a raven which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. So he sent forth the raven first. Also, and it doesn't say and, it says also he sent forth the dove to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the earth. I remember when I first learned this, I did look it up and I did agree, but I can't remember the details why now. I just knew we'd have a short video, so I wanted to add it on. So also he sent forth the dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the soles of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. And he stayed yet another this is why I agreed, because it says, and he stayed yet other 7 days. So what was the first 7 days? This implies that he had already stayed 7 days. And that's what happened up here. He sent forth the raven. He waited 7 days. Then he sent forth the dove. He waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him anymore. Yeah, so it was this other. And that's how I discerned that that was correct. And I do owe you guys just a quick apology, because I did not correct myself when I believed that the 10 days in Smyrna had something to do with the war. I really figured out almost right after I said that, but I didn't know that I was not going to be online for such a long time. I figured I could wait and then do the correction in the next video. And of course, that turned out to be several months later, and it was kind of pointless at that time. So that's why I'm doing this correction here right away, because I don't want to do that again. So I've already put the correction out there. I think that I don't believe that this is the 10 days or the 10 years in Ezekiel. So anyway, I will leave it at that, and I will see you all in the next video.